After seeing how the Jackson Hayes experiment turned out for my New Orleans Pelicans, I was ready to give up on drafting athletic bigs who didn't fulfill their true potential in college. That was how bad that Jackson Hayes draft pick messed with me. The Pelicans drafted this man 8th overall in 2019 and everything seemed cool. He was an athletic freak with a solid shooting foundation who was drawing comparisons to Jared Allen, which I liked. But get this, my guy didn't even make it to his second contract with the team. So while I was ready to give up on this archetype of player, the more that I learned about Lively, the more that I learned that he was nothing like your typical center prospect or some of the guys that he would be getting compared to. The comparisons for Lively coming out of college were all over the place. Trying to ingest as many scouting reports as possible, I would see this man get compared to not just Jackson Hayes, but also guys like Willie Cauley-Stein and Nick Claxton. These were fine prospects and players in their own right, but what's scary is that Derek Lively is already better than all of them. At just 20 years old, Lively hasn't even come close to scratching his true potential, and we've seen a lot of glimpses of that throughout this year's playoffs. But first, so the NBA Finals are over, but with Underdog Fantasy, the fun is just beginning. Underdog Fantasy, also known as the best way to play fantasy sports, currently has 2 discounted squares to help us 325 times our money. Pick the special discounted Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark square, and whenever they score more than just 0.5 points, that projection hits. To take full advantage of these limited time projections, be sure to use code COOP when you sign up so that you can get a first time deposit bonus for up to $250 and a limited time bonus special projection. Guys, be sure to follow me on IG if you want to see my picks before anybody else. Oh yeah, and all of the links that you need for everything will be down in the description below. Thank you, Underdog, for supporting the channel. With the Mavericks being down 3-0 in this series, Lively would add yet another special performance to his resume. He'd score 11 points, grab 12 boards, with 7 of those being offensive rebounds, and he'd also record a steal. With this performance, he'd become the first rookie since Magic Johnson to have consecutive double-doubles in the NBA Finals. Mind you that Magic Johnson did this all the way back in 1980. That's how rare and special that what Lively did is. Now, I won't sit here and act like Lively is this perfect player because he still does have a long ways to go. On offense, Lively's game is a work in progress, but even as is, what he brings to the table is huge for the Dallas Mavericks. With his monstrous athleticism and soft touch around the basket, Derek Lively is somebody who was built to play with players who have their own gravity. And as we know, Dallas superstars Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have just that. This year, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have got shouts about being the best backcourt of all time. While I don't know about that one, they are without a doubt one of the most talented offensive duos ever. Defensively, teams just can't stay in front of either of these players. With their disgusting handles and ridiculous body control, both of these players excel at breaking down defenses and blowing by their defenders. With teams knowing exactly how easy that these players get to the basket and how good that these players are, we often see teams throwing a lot of attention and multiple defenders their way. What's so beautiful about how much of a threat that these players are is that sometimes just them touching the ball is enough of a threat to show off how valuable it is to have a vertical spacer like Lively on your team. Look at Kyrie here in transition. He touches the ball and instantly a swarm of Celtics are around him. He swings it to the corner, PJ passes it back to him, and yet again all eyes are on Kyrie as Lively is left wide open for the easy lob. Take a look at this play. Here we have yet another transition opportunity. To nobody's surprise, 2 defenders swarm Luka. Luka swings it to Maxey, who swings it to Green, who recognizes that thanks to Luka's gravity, that the defense is in scramble mode. He attacks and drops it off to Lively, who slams it home. There's a reason that Derek Lively averaged 7.9 points, 7.4 rebounds, and shot a mind-boggling 67.4% in these playoffs. There's also a reason that Lively was top 6 in points per pick and roll in this year's playoffs. Not only was he top 6, but at 75% from the field, he shot the best percentage of anybody who ran the pick and roll and was a roller. His field goal percentage as a roller would be better than Jared Allen, who shot 69.2% in these situations, and better than Anthony Davis, who shot 68.8% in these situations. Him doing this is partially due to him playing with 2 generational playmakers in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. It's also partially due to him knowing his role, and also partially due to his talent with him being way ahead of the curve as a rookie. So the vertical spacing and dunks are great, but what's truly scary about Lively's offense is that he does things that you wouldn't necessarily expect out of a 7'1", 230-pound center. You expect and hope that he would be a good rebounder. You expect and hope that he would be a good finisher. But do you expect him to be as fluid as he is? Do you expect him to flash being an impressive short roll passer? Seeing Lively operate in the short roll is an absolute pleasure. I can't emphasize how endless this man's potential is. The guy is even hitting three-pointers now. Facing elimination, Lively would hit the first three-pointer of his NBA career. This would be surprising for some people, but this is actually something that he's been working on and something that he excelled at during the pre-draft process. According to reports, the Lakers were blown away with Lively's shooting during a pre-draft workout. Now obviously I have to say the obligatory anybody can shoot in an open gym, but I would still say that there is some pressure that comes with these pre-draft workouts, and knocking them down can only be seen as a positive. Remember, the Mavs didn't draft this guy because of his ability to space the floor. Like I said, if he ever ends up doing that consistently, that's just a positive. They drafted him because of his upside, sure, but also because he filled an immediate need for the Dallas Mavericks. So regardless of those questionable comparisons that I had read off earlier, the scouting reports for Lively were actually solid. NBADraft.net called him one of the best rim protectors in college with his size, length, and athleticism around the paint. They also called him somebody that runs the break well and is great at rim running and catching alley-oops. They continued saying that he's a disciplined pick-and-roll defender that is terrific in drop coverage, and somebody that gets excellent position as an offensive rebounder by following the play and finding the open space for putback dunks. They even said that even though he didn't shoot a high percentage, he looks comfortable letting it fly from the perimeter, indicating that shooting and scoring could be a surprising element if incorporated positively into his game at the next level. So far, we've seen all of this on display in Dallas, especially his ability to rebound and anchor a defense, taking full advantage of his agileness and his 7'5" wingspan. Derek Lively averaged 1.4 blocks per game this season in just 23.5 minutes a game. Lively's ability to anchor the paint while not being a liability on the perimeter is something that you rarely see in 7-footers. He's truly special on the defensive end of the floor. Lively, along with the addition of Gafford and perimeter defenders, is why you've seen the Mavericks go from being 19th in points allowed in the paint in 2022-2023 to 14th in 2023-2024. The additions of Lively and Gafford are also why you've seen the Mavericks go from dead last in rebounding, averaging 38.8 during the 2022-2023 season, to being middle of the pack, averaging 42.9. While that might not sound like a huge difference, if the Mavericks averaged 4 more rebounds per game, they would literally overtake the Celtics for first, who averaged 46.4 this season. It says a lot about a team when they have a point guard averaging 8 rebounds per game, and yet they're still dead last in the league for rebounding. Guys, imagine where the Mavericks would be if they had never got Lively. Imagine if the Mavericks had listened to the wishes of Luka and not tanked to secure their pick, all in an effort to make that measly play-in tournament. I know the Mavericks just lost in the finals, but cheer up, Mavericks fans. You guys have a franchise center with limitless potential to go next to your generational prospect and elite scorer. You've done the hard part. The rest of the job is figuring out the rest. I know that some people are expecting the Mavericks to fall apart after this season, but I really do like the direction that this team is headed. I don't know, guys, let me know what you think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now and using code COOP for Underdog Fantasy are great ways to support the channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.